simple man with Ethan Crelinsten, Nicky Rod, and Damien Anderson. Oh, stay a while if you know about the jiu-jitsu. If you don't, you can come too. This is BT.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I'm Damien.
Ethan.
I'm Nicky Rod, and we have a very special guest. The man behind CJI, the real one.
The puppet master.
Yeah.
Pulling the strings, holding the cards.
It's like we have Craig, the face of it, but the
Yes.
brains behind CJI is...
Seth Belisle. But I wouldn't say I have the brains behind it. Okay, Craig has amazing ideas and connections. I'm just an execution guy, so I can't take all the credit. I can take all the credit for all the work because he didn't do shit.
Well, we credit you with everything.
Yeah.
We'll go from there.
At least we do. I feel like the guys that know who you are, we're always like, all right, well, it's Seth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's endearing. So at least I get some credit, because when we first announced it, even all of y'all at the gym were like, is this really happening? I remember Damien came up, he's like, wait, are you doing this? And I was like, yeah. And you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah, if it was just Craig behind it, I wouldn't have believed it was going to happen until like 2 weeks out. But knowing you were also pulling, I'm like, oh, okay, it seems like
That was the
this is
thing for me.
reliable.
It was like Craig was saying that he's gonna have this $1 million tournament. I'm like, all right, there's
Like,
no
yeah,
way
okay, sure.
he realizes like all the shit that goes into it and building the teams for everything. And then I remember actually in the gym, I'm like, are you doing something? He's like, of course I'm doing this. And I'm like, oh, now it makes sense.
Yeah.
Seth can get shit done, you know, he doesn't take no shit.
It was a similar thing with Nicky Rod, because like I see all your podcasts, you're like, it was a tough decision. Bullshit, bro. You were like, is this money real? And I was like, yeah. You're like, it's not crypto? And I'm like, no, it's real money, USD. And you're like, I'm in. And then he's like, oh, struggling. You're like, no, I'm a prize fighter, bro. If it's real money, I'm all in. And I was like, all right.
Pretty much as soon as I talked to you, I was like, all right, like I get it. It's actually happening. But it was the same concept. Like, Craig is a man of the world. Man of the
jokes
people.
about everything.
He jokes about everything.
Exactly.
So it's hard to be,
Serious.
hard to understand.
That was actually one of the hardest things of planning and doing CJI, because one, it was like a last minute thing. So it was like we had less than 3 months. And so when you're trying to get like marquee sponsors or investors, half of them, when you get on the call, more than half I should say, would be like, yeah, but is this even happening? Is this real? I thought it was just a joke. And you're like, I'm spending the whole first part of the pitch like overcoming the objection, which is Craig's a fucking troll. So it was like, no, it's really happening.
it's like the necessary evil of having Craig in there. 'Cause
Yes,
so much of his shit is like fooling around, and it gets so much attention. It's hilarious, but then you have to like convince people who are actually throwing money into this.
Yeah, I hate to give the guy any credit at all, but he's a master marketer, dude. He
He went on a world tour
in
in like a month. I don't know. It was nuts. I mean, he does that anyway, but
Yeah,
this time
exactly.
he really
it's like,
did it,
dude, I'm
yeah.
working hard. I'm like, you're making videos, traveling where you want to travel.
That's what he's best at. That's his forte.
Yeah, like, that's what I say. I support it. It's like, keep going, bro. Keep going.
He's almost like the who's the chef that died?
Bourdain.
He's like the Bourdain of jiu-jitsu,
Yeah,
almost, right?
That's actually the goal, trying to do like what he did for the food culture for jiu-jitsu. Like,
Yeah.
because
Ultimately kills himself.
yeah, well,
Hypothetically.
fuck, I hope. I mean, I run all the businesses, so if he dies, artists' value goes up higher when they're dead. I'm like, I'm
shit.
keeping it all.
We're gonna be rich. We're gonna be rich.
I'm disappearing. Yeah.
Like Craig doesn't do what he wants, but we protect Seth.
Yeah, protect Seth at all costs.
Exactly.
So
Damn.
before we get into CJI, let's talk about the origins, because you were back with us in Puerto Rico.
Yes, I was.
He was back in Puerto Rico, and then the team split happened, and somehow you got Craig and stole the gym from New Wave.
Well, I don't know if
Should we
I
bleep that
steal
out?
my own gym that I had.
Yeah.
So
Give us the rundown. Tell the guys how you came to know the guys, and then ultimately have the gym with Craig and the boys.
yeah, so I was living in San Diego. I had a gym in Austin as like a passion project. It was always like I wanted to have like I love jiu-jitsu, so having a gym in Austin was always my thing.
You might want to speak more into that.
Oh, yeah. So always had a gym as a passion project in Austin. I was managing it remote from San Diego. I never want to be the guy teaching classes, just want to have a gym in my hometown. And then I was moving back to Texas to raise my family because California's got no manners. So I was like, oh, I'll go back to Texas, also with taxes. And then I had a break because it was COVID. So everyone was flooding back to Texas and I couldn't like move in right away. So I bought a house, but I had to do a lease back. So I had this gap of like 6 months. And then my friend was actually in Puerto Rico doing the Act 60 evading taxes.
Yep. Is that Billy?
Billy, yeah, that scumbag. So Billy was down.
It's not evading taxes, right? It's not tax
It's
evasion.
strategically dodging them.
It's strategically dodging them. Yes,
6
getting
months.
yeah.
Well, it's fully. That's what they want you to do,
Well,
right?
tax evasion, I think, is illegal.
No, tax evasion is
Yeah, yeah,
illegal,
yeah,
but it's.
yeah.
Tax dodging.
I think that's also illegal.
Tax incentivizing.
It's incentivizing to pay a lower tax rate. And so
bobbing and weaving taxes.
he went there, and because he was living in the bubble and he's ugly with the big ears, he ran into John and Gordon and all them, and then like approached them and was like, "Oh, yo, I just want to train." And they're like, "Well, we started off with like 40 Puerto Ricans, now we have 10, so you'd be welcome to
Wow,
come."
one of the. Wow, that's amazing. That's how he got in.
Yeah,
It's 'cause of
that's how
that.
he got in. And so
Using
he
the
went-
old Billy method, just bullshitting his way through shit. huh?
Exactly. And then showed up, kept his mouth shut, didn't talk shit like he normally does, and then like allowed him to stay there. And then he was like, "Come down and come visit." And so I went down there and visited, and he's brought me along, and I started training. And then one day, John was in a good mood, and Taza was like, "Yo, you should ask him," because I was like, "Oh fuck, I should just move down here. It's cheap, and I have this gap before I go back to Austin." And so I just asked John, I was like, "Yo, I'm thinking about coming down here. Would it be cool if I trained?" And he was like, "I'm 40. I'm not trying to take no pro spot. I'm just a body in the room." And he was like, "Oh, for sure. No problem." So it's like, boom, rented the condo, came down. And then, then my wife ended up being pregnant with twins in Puerto Rico.
In Puerto Rico.
Yeah, right when
wow.
right when I signed the lease, she was like, "I'm pregnant." And I was like, "Well, it changes your trip. It's not going to be as fun." And then we got down there, and she
Sucks
got,
for you.
Yeah, sucks for you. And she got super sick. And so then after the first 3 months, she was like, "I'm going back," because the house opened up. And so we bounced back. But that's how I got to know all you guys. And then I had a conflict with my associate at the gym. And so in May, I separated, and I was just going to do a private gym and focus on media, because like Flow Grappling was here, WNO was kicking off, and I was like, "Oh, Austin's like a hub, like centrally located. All these tournaments are popping off, and I'll just make it a media gym and a private gym."
So that was the plan for.
That was my plan.
What B Team is now.
Yeah, that was my plan, because like again, I had separated from my partner in May. You guys were all still a super team, and like I didn't know what was going on. I knew there was some division because it was creepy as fuck when you walked in the room. There's everyone in these little sectors and corners, And then my corner started started growing because like just me and Billy. Craig was only there for a small portion because he did the UFC. He did the UFC show, so he was gone. But like we would talk shit in the corner because I like to talk shit, and Billy too. And then he left, and then you and Nicky started coming to the corner.
We're safe here.
Then Damien, Nicky Rod wasn't in the corner because he was always fucking an hour and a half late, making the training sessions take forever.
Mega high.
Yeah. It was a random time when John decided that
Oh, I remember this.
me showing up to practice means the start of practice.
Yes.
That was
Yeah.
I was not informed of this.
It's because
Yeah, but that's how it went.
And so I guess like that just kept happening. And then when did y'all broke up? Like
August, a little before.
Not
No,
too sure. I think it was before August because
July.
Yeah, okay.
We moved here in August. There was like the first people to come here was in August, and then I think we split about a month and a half before.
Yeah, because I remember being like, "Hey, I have a space if you're having struggles," because they were saying, "Hey, this Puerto Rico's not working out." It's like clearly you could have seen that writing on the wall from a mile away. Like that was never gonna work, but wasn't my place to say that. And then I was like, "Oh, hey, listen, I have a spot you can use if you want to do it." And then y'all broke up, and then I was like, "Y'all have drama before me, has nothing to do with me. I don't want anything to do with it, so you go on your way." And then Craig just is a lingerer, man. He just kind of stayed around. And then I asked him, like, originally when I fired my partner, I made a joke, and I said, "Yo, what are you doing after ADCC?" He's like, "I'm moving to Austin." And I was like, "For real?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna move to Austin. I hate Puerto Rico." And I was like, "Oh, well, I have a gym if you want to like do something," like making a joke. And he just kind of laughed it off, like, "Bro, I wouldn't have a training partner." I was like, "No, I'm just fucking around." And then when y'all broke up, it was like, "Oh, hey, do you want to do something?" And I was like, "I don't know, but how about this? Let's just do a deal where you and I do a gym. We'll do a private gym until ADCC. That way it's like only 8 or 9 months away. If anything happens and we don't like each other and doesn't work out, you go your way, I go my way, and there's no issues. And he was like, oh, that's sweet. I don't like commitments. And I was like, perfect. Me neither. And then B Team kind of took off. We did the YouTube thing, kind of keep you guys relevant between competitions because there's not a lot of jiu-jitsu competitions. So it was like how to keep you guys relevant and then like help DVD and all that kind of shit. And it was something that I wanted to do anyway. That's why like I put the flag up. I wanted to make like Austin like a mecca for jiu-jitsu. And so it was like in line with my goals. And then it's all kind of went from there. Like, man.
Now we're the #1 fucking entertainment in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
we're by far.
And like tourist gym, like people from all over the world come here. Like we don't have to hold numbers because like every month there's like 50 to over 100 people that just pass through the gym. They just want to come through, train, take pictures, buy swag, like be a part of the vibe. Because I feel like we're super encouraging of like, I don't care what fucking team you are or what your goals are. It's like you can come here, you can train, just as long as you're cool on the mat, you're welcome. I feel like we've done a good job of that.
Yeah, that's what everybody expresses. They don't feel like the same tension that they do when they go into other gyms. Like it can be kind of eerie, like you're walking on eggshells. And when they come to B Team, it's just like friendly vibe. Obviously, we work hard, train hard, but you know we make it fun as well.
Yeah, I think the old school like cult vibe. I was a part of that for a long time. I've had a gym since 2011.
To bow. Did you have to bow?
Oh yeah, all that stuff, and then like
B Team is probably the furthest thing from that, and I think people are starting to move away from that shit.
Yeah, and I think like also like I used to have this with previous partners when they would like someone want to go train or cross train and they get mad, and I'd be like, why do you care, man? Like if you make someone make a choice, more often than not, they choose what you don't want. Why don't you just be like, oh man, enjoy, go have fun, and they always come back, you know? But they just can't, like old guard, like can't accept that, and I think that like even we have that here, like. You train at B Team, you can train anywhere you want. But if you go to B Team and you're at another gym, they might not let you come.
Yeah.
That's y'all's people, not mine.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I remember that's what happened when I was over at New Wave, like, because I wanted to get ready for East Coast trials at the time, and then, but still wanted to help Gary with.
You didn't have like training partners at.
Yeah, well, I wanted to help Gary get ready for Ton Lee. And I had East Coast trials, so I was like, oh, you know, I remember asking them, I was like, can I just train at B Team in the mornings? Because you guys had a morning session. I was like, I'll just train with you guys in the morning, and then I'll do only MMA at the noon session instead of splitting up the noon session with 3 rounds of MMA, 3 rounds of jiu-jitsu. And then, they said no. And then a couple months later, I ended up leaving anyway, or a month later.
Oh, yeah, you're the last one to defect.
I was the last one. Yeah, to defect, yep.
I was, like, there were group chats fucking popping off, and I was like in Montreal getting knee surgery, like in and out of the hospital, just like it was so entertaining watching these texts like fly up.
I remember before I did like the deal with Craig, we were on the lake, and I remember you being like, we're reasonable people, Seth, we're reasonable. And I was like, are they? I don't know.
Wait, I was saying this?
Yeah.
What was I saying?
We went on the lake with my friend, we went surfing.
Oh,
yeah. That was like right when it was like
we both.
Yeah, we went.
Yeah, because that was like the WNO where Nicky blew his knee.
Yeah.
I think that's when everything went.
Oh, the Dante
south.
match.
Yeah, the Dante match.
That was when that was the exact weekend.
That was it. It went all down.
I think it was. I forget if it was before or after the Dante match, but it was like in Austin when I remember leading up. Nicky was like, "I'm gonna try to give John an ultimatum."
That was like leading up. Yeah,
because like shit was just going south.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah. I was in the dark and all that. I didn't want to be in the light.
Yeah, I
either.
mean, you should.
I didn't want
no
to
reason
know.
to fucking
I don't want to
burden
know
you with
that darkness.
shit.
It's all negative.
That was a fun day on the lake, man.
Wake surfing, that could be a passion of mine.
Oh,
yes,
We gotta do it. Trying to convince this guy to get a boat so we can go surfing.
Yeah, what the hell,
I was in Hawaii.
I need $10 million before I buy it.
In Hawaii, we were surfing a bunch. I'm now addicted to it. The next best thing we have is wake surfing or wakeboarding.
Oh, we can go lake surfing anytime in the week, bro. I got a friend. We go.
Oh fuck, man, let's go.
You shouldn't have said that. Dude, we can wrap this up, right? We got.
I can call him right now.
Dude, you're so well connected in Austin. I feel like anybody that's important knows who Seth is.
I was born and raised here, so I'm one of the very, very few. And then where I grew up, like just a lot of the people come from Austin as well. So yeah, I have a lot of connections. Like it's my city, so I feel like
Austin native. That's
Austin
like,
native. Very few.
It's quite rare.
Yeah,
very rare.
Everyone else is like
California
migrated here from somewhere. Yeah,
which is funny though, because like all my family and stuff that are like Austin people, are like, no, you're from California, because I went there for a little bit, and I'm like, dude, whatever. Like,
fuck you. I lived, this is my hometown, bro.
I was living in California as a Austin / Texan native.
Well, I lived
San
in
Diego?
San Diego. So San Diego is like, I feel like almost like a sister city to Austin. It's like a similar vibe, similar culture. It's just like happens to be on the ocean, but everyone's like pretty laid back, real active, like
a
lots of stuff to do.
town kind of.
San Diego is one of the best cities in the world.
Cool,
it is literally one of the best cities in the world. So it was nice. I went there to live there. Like, oh, we're just gonna live here 2 or 3 years, but I was still in my corporate career, so I was like traveling 25 weeks a year. And so when 2 years hit, I was like, I haven't even been here. And then all of a sudden I blinked and it was 9 years, and I was like, whoa, time to get back, time to get back to Texas.
So your corporate career was under Dell?
Yeah, so I started my corporate career at Dell. I was an international business guy, so I managed sales teams across Latin America, so all the Americas. And then I went and did it for a startup too, for 4 years after that.
Damn, it's quite a jump from Dell to
CJI.
CJI.
Yeah, well,
having the biggest grappling promotion ever.
yeah, I think it was like, one, like building teams. I'm really confident in building teams and like vetting people. So it was like, okay, cool. I need to build a certain team. I need to get the right people to do in place, because I'm not an expert at anything, master of nothing, but like I know what I'm good at. Jack of all trades. So it's like, okay, cool. I need a production guy. I need an event guy. I need some like, social people. I need all these things. And you have Craig, who's like just an awesome marketer. So it's like, if you build it, like Field of Dreams, like you're going to come. And so like when you announce that, people are like, how did you get all these athletes to come over? I was like, it's pretty fucking easy. Say there's $1 million on the line. Everyone's jumping ship. Like there wasn't a lot of like convincing,
Yeah, I feel like once a lot of people, again, they're like skeptical because Craig's always fucking around. But once they really see that it's, first of all, the event's going to be legitimate and that the money's also legitimate, they're like, all right, well, yeah, we're not going to not fucking fight for $1 million. Like,
yeah, then it evolved too, because it was like, okay, at first we have this money. Let's dedicate to like raising the sport and athletes pay. So we're going to set these prizes. We're going to pay everyone the 10,001 to show. Just make the athletes choose, not the fans choose. And then it was like, hey, we don't have to worry about production. We don't have to worry about any of that, because it's really about the athletes and then like the prize and like elevating prize purses. Then like the opposition started just running their mouth and saying things like, oh, we'll see what they can do. They can't run an event. And then I took that personal. And so then it was like, okay, I took that personally. Wow. So then I was like, oh, now I'm going to make it sure that it's an awesome stream, and then it's an amazing experience, and then it's fucking top notch, because that way I went across the board. So it was like, I wanted to check the boxes of elevating the sport. We did that. I wanted to elevate athlete pay. We did that right away with like them pumping up the female prize purses and then paying everyone under the table, because we had a lot of athletes that were going to come and they got offers, and then we got it confirmed. Like, so we know
so then everyone
the range.
Got paid more.
So everyone got paid more. And then it was like, we wanted to make the athletes choose, but not the fans. And so when you have to make people choose, there's going to be a winner and a loser. And so like making it for charity makes the most winners, because then it's like, hey, the money goes back to these causes, so everyone wins. So like, how are you going to get mad?
Hate on that.
You're going to hate Red Cross, or like
you can't hate on that.
You can't hate on that. Yeah. And so it's like, how do we create the most positivity out of like a situation? So away from the troll, it's all good things for the sport. Yeah. So regardless of what side you're on or whatever, it's like, it's good for the sport. It's good for jiu-jitsu. It's like not behind a paywall. Everyone's seeing it. It's great for the athletes. And now people are more apt to be like, oh, maybe I could go pro. There's no kids today being like, I'm going to be a pro jiu-jitsu fighter and I'm going to make 10 grand when I'm the best. Like, no one wants to do that.
Just want to take a quick moment to thank our sponsors, Massive Supplements and Violent Hippie. Use code SimpleMan, all caps, for 15% off both of those companies. Massive Supplements, trademarked Smashing Greens, Smashing Reds, very nutrient-dense foods. I personally use their creatine and BCAAs during my workout and sometimes even before the workout. For Violent Hippie, they have soaps, USDA CBD oils, T-shirts, rash guards, you name it, owned by former Navy SEAL Mitch Aguiar. Use Simple Man to get 15% off.
Guys, Violent Hippie, Massive Supplements, get the Smashing Greens, Smashing Reds, all the vitamins, nutrients you need to get that body that you want.
Nicky Rod style.
All right, what's up, podcast listeners, watchers, viewers? It's your boy Nicky Rod alongside the two other Simple Men, Damien Anderson and Ethan Crelinsten. We're here to let you know that our merch is now available. The Simple Man podcast has the Simple Man rash guard. Get the merch, enjoy the show.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy, Nicky Rod. If you're looking to support the Simple Man podcast and myself, please check out carnejerky.com, CARNEJERKY.
Anaconda Fightwear sent us some braces. I actually used it before. That's how I found out about the company first, was when I tore my
my meniscus going against Gabe Souza, all the other knee braces would slide, and I fucking hated it. This one has like 2 straps, so you put the knee brace on, and there's padding.
I constantly use a knee brace. Like, I don't train without a knee brace on my left knee now, so I'm definitely going to try these out. Oh, shout out to Anaconda Fightwear.
The Simple Man podcast teamed up with Merrick Health to offer a turnkey complete package designed for those driven to maximize performance and support longevity, with the most elaborate testing available on the market.
At Merrick Health, you'll get extensive lab work, over 100 carefully selected biomarkers to provide detailed insights into your hormone profile, cardiovascular health, organ function, and metabolic status. You'll get custom lab reports with actionable recommendations validated by their clinical research team and physicians. A thorough analysis of your lab report and video call review with Merrick Health. You'll get expedited onboarding for those interested in working with a Merrick Health medical provider for personalized treatment options ranging from hormone optimization and cognitive enhancement to hair loss prevention and body recomposition, all from the comfort of your home.
The optimization package includes the same elaborate panel I get myself, and with those test results, the Merrick Health clinical team optimizes my personalized protocol. To get the exact same panel and medical oversight, click the link in the video description, merrickhealth.com/simpleman, and use the code SIMPLEMAN, all capitals, to save 10% at checkout.
Get your blood work done at Merrick Health. Use code SIMPLEMAN, all caps.
You know, this is still on the topic, but I have a different question. So as soon as, you know, Craig gets this money to do a CJI or whatever, and now, you know, you're on board, what are the steps? Like, what does it take? Like, how did you go from never being an organizer of a jiu-jitsu event to now being like one of the biggest? Like, what was the order of operations for you? Like, oh, I need this, I need this, I need this. Like, how did you build the teams? What was the route?
Step one was the same thing that everyone had. Is this real? That was like literally my first question, because it was like a late night text in like a group chat, and it was like, would you run a tournament on the same weekend as ADCC if we had this money? And I'm like, Christ. It's the middle of the night. And I'm like, bro,
let me think
come
about
on.
this.
Like, how serious is like $3 million serious? And I'm like, don't say that, because I'll go all OCD psycho, and then you guys change your mind, and then I'm like, gone too deep. Yeah. And they're like, no. And I was like, I'll wait a
this
day or
is Craig
two.
On the other end of this.
Craig and our friend.
Yeah.
And then when cooler heads, sober heads prevailed, I re-messaged, was like, yo, is this for real? And it was like, screenshot of the money, go. And I was like, it's on. Yeah. So then it was like, okay, solidified the business entity first, because it's a new business. So I wanted to make sure that everything was clean that way.
Like CJI LLC.
Nah, well, the Fair Fight Foundation. So we were already working to do a nonprofit. So we have a film project that was like connecting jiu-jitsu throughout the world, and then like finding a give back. So we'd already did that in Bali. We did it in the Philippines. And so it was like, okay, we already had it the framework to do the foundation. So I was like, oh, I'll just high speed it right now. So step one was like, get the business entity. And then it was overcome any objection that ADCC could possibly have from me. So it was like, okay, let's find the location. What would be the ideal one? Thomas and Mack, because it was what they did in 2022. So call them, find out the deposit, and then find out any restrictions they would have. So I was immediately on the phone with the Nevada State Athletic Commission to make sure there was nothing that they could like pull up.
You need commission? Maybe a commission?
No, you don't for grappling. So I wanted to confirm.
Okay.
Because
just so there's no hiccup down the road.
And I'll bring this up later because it's kind of funny. It just shows like the opposition and what they don't know. So it was like, okay, just make sure that I have everything signed off, because when you do a promotion in Las Vegas, do you need this like Clark County promoter's license? If you have striking ball, you need this certain promoter's license. So it's like, okay, let me go through all the non-sexy stuff, the stuff that could block me. Paperwork. I don't need a promoter's license because it's no grappling. I used ADCC's explanation and criteria and then sent it to the head of Nevada Athletic Commission. And then he wrote back with a certified letter like, you don't need any of this. You're completely good to go based on this criteria. So that I don't need the promoter's license. And then that enabled me to get Thomas and Mack. And then it was pay the deposit and then don't let Craig know, because he can't sit on anything. And I didn't want him to announce it because I was afraid that the opposition would start contacting and try to like book it or block it, because I only had that weekend and it was only Friday and Saturday available because they had an event on Sunday. So I couldn't go straight. But then I was like, it's better for the fans. Now you have Friday, Saturday, you can go to the finals of both events. I'm a fan of ADCC. So I was like, man, it's great. It's a better It's a better pitch.
Thomas and Mack had an event Sunday?
Yeah.
Oh.
So I could only get Friday and Saturday.
Is that why it was Friday, Sunday?
That's why it
not
was Friday,
Saturday,
Sunday. I was going for Saturday, Sunday, and then we changed it. And then I was like,
I didn't
well,
know
it's
that.
a better spin. Like, it's better for the fans.
That's fine.
You
They
get
could do a little
both.
more. Yeah, there's 1 day overlap instead
so
of.
it's 1 day overlap. So that was like my first thing was like get the business structure and the insurance. I had to go get like a multi-million-dollar insurance policy to do an event. So it was like just click all these boxes, keep it on the low, and then once all that's set and the deposits hit, and then I went there to Vegas to meet them all in person because I feel like if you shake my hand, look me in the eye, like you can't crawfish. And then the contract was signed and they're like 100% it's yours. And then they found out that we were doing a competing event for grappling. Even Thomas and Mack was all on board because they were like, we were anticipating having ADCC 22 and they went to T-Mobile instead of us. And we did them, or 2024, and we did them a deal. And I was like, oh, cool. Well, here's your opportunity to like be a part of a new grappling organization.
They were in on it too.
They were in on
down
it.
to
Yeah.
fucking sick.
So yeah, those are the first steps, which were funny because they came into play because then it was like announced. The other promotion started calling Thomas and Mack, throwing a fit. And they're like, well, this is business. Like, they reserve it. I'm an event center. Someone else can book it. They were just mad that I don't know.
Like, how can you do this?
Yeah, exactly.
How dare
and then
you?
it was telling athletes, it's like Gabby, like, I'm calling the Nevada State Athletic Commission and I'm going to shut you down. And I was like, oh, we got this in the bag, bro. They don't even know the rules. Like, you can't do anything. You don't need the Nevada State Athletic Commission.
Wow.
So, like,
stuff behind the scenes.
it was so funny to me because then it was like, you really don't know, like, the rules of the game you're playing. So I was like, oh, this is easy.
There was no competition. It's like you really don't need to know the rules because you're not really competing.
Yeah, or you're like, it's kind of like expect what you inspect. So if you're not like involved in everything, you can't expect great results. So the more you're involved in every little thing, then you know what to expect. You would have known. And so like doing this, I just made sure that every little step I was involved in and I was leading, and then I would spearhead, and then I would pass it to who I elected on the team, that was their role. But then again, they still have to come to me to get the follow-up so that I know everything's going in a certain order. Even hiring the production team was like, hey, are you an independent contractor? And they're like, yes. And I was like, I don't care. Make sure you go to your promotion.
I don't care.
I don't care. I was like, make sure you go to your promotion and see if they're going to have an issue with you doing this event. And they were like, I don't. I'm an independent contractor. I can do what I want. I'm like, just go get permission because I don't think you understand the drama that's going to come with this rivalry. You just don't understand the culture, the promotions, and these people. And he was like, came back and was like, oh, I got it. I can do this one. I can do that one. And then a month later was like, oh shit, dude, I have to sign a whole new contract. They're really upset. And I was like, yeah, man, I told you. Yeah. You know, because no one thought it would be as big as it was. No one thought it would be as successful as it was. And even like leading up to the day before we went live, the team was like, hey, I want to set your expectations. Like, if we get 50,000 subs and maybe 50,000 live views, it's going to be success. And I'm like, y'all are fired. Like, that's going to be a failure. And they're like, Seth, you have to realistic expectations. And I'm like, I do. I don't think you realize how big this is. Just the churn that Craig can push alone and what was happening on the road to CJI vlogs. I was like, there's no way we don't hit this number. When it happened, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it.
Did you surpass the number you were expecting?
Yes, by far. Yeah, by far.
So you break down the legal, just, the mundane bullshit. Now it's like, you have to develop the teams. What was like the first team you wanted to get on board? How many people are on the CJI team to make this whole thing work? Like,
to be honest, it was like we started B team. Like, it was so lean. Like, we didn't have money. Like, people like, oh, you got $3 million. Everyone comes through the woodwork. It's like 2.5 of that went straight to athletes. And then like insurance, Thomas and Mack deductible, like there was like no money. Like I had to go raise money to cover production and do those things. So it was like, once I got through with the non-sexy stuff, it was like, okay, I need to build the alley. Like we have to have a competition service. It's never been done before. Like it's going to be the first time, and it's like a short window, and the guy that was building it is like overseas, and so timing on the canvas and the logos, like I was like reverse calculating on a calendar, and I'm like, how are we going to pull this off? It was so tight. And that's like an integral part. Like if you don't have the actual competition surface,
it's the
you're
whole heart
screwed.
of the event.
So that was like my second target. I was like, okay, let's get this dialed out. Let's have a plan. And the guy flew in and it was the same thing on camera, shake my hand. Like, you're going to hit this. You're not going to back out. Like, you're 100%
How did you
in.
find the guy to build it?
Well, luckily, shout out, I don't know if he wants to be known, but he's going to be. My boy Darren helped us. He's a guy that has worked with multiple promotions and did socials, and he knew Craig through Karate Combat and doing like social things. And he really was like the guy that was all in for the passion of the game, just because he liked Craig and just like had a good relationship working with Craig, saw what we were trying to do and was like, I just want to be involved to be involved. Like, that was the best thing about CJI, honestly, is like building the team, is that so many people like pro bonoed it or just did it for the love of the game.
Sick.
They were like, I love what you guys are trying to do. You're trying to elevate this thing. You're trying to bring good people together. So like from my back end team to like Jason Herzog and Shaolin and like Smooth Comp and all these awesome people, they were like, hey man, I don't care. Whatever, you know, you can pay me or how you can compensate me or if I can donate my time, I just want to help and support you guys. Like that was
wanted to be involved.
That was one of the best things. Like so many people, like even like some of the judges at first, they're like, oh, I want this. And then at the end they were like, hey man, keep it all and donate it to charity. I was so glad to be involved in that. That was something that was like, no, I'm like heartwarming. It was like, oh, people are down to do this because I did it for free. I killed myself to do that. Craig did it for free. And so it was like getting all these people involved. So yeah, I kind of derailed there, but the non-sexy stuff, getting the alley, and then my boy Darren like connected me like, hey, these are some people that I trust. Here's some other companies. And then I just vetted them. And then it just came down to it that we just got the right people. So like, you know, Todd from Ferrante, like his team, and Eddie, those two guys like really helped put it together.
Whose idea was it to use Alex as like the MC announcer?
She killed it.
Yeah, she did really well.
Killed it,
Fucking
dude.
killed it.
So I think I hate to do it. I give Craig credit again. No, I think Craig, we've been following her on socials, and then my production guy was like, hey, he had worked with her, and he was like, hey, this is someone that I think would do well. And then we just like, we'd followed her on Instagram. We knew that she was training jiu-jitsu, and it was like, oh, she's part of our community. You know, she's, you know, beautiful girl. She's like well articulate, you know, well spoken, articulate on the mic, and she had experience and was like into jiu-jitsu. So it's like, oh, she should definitely be like what I was like the Megan O'Leary for our stuff.
Yeah,
because I'm like comparing everything to like a UFC event. That's how I did it. I didn't want to do anything like a grappling style event because like I don't like the way it's shown. And so it was like, oh, let's make this like a show where everyone gets their shine. Like when you compete at ADCC, it's awesome. But like if you win, you don't get a mic moment. You don't have
only at the very end.
Only at the very end. So it's like, hey, you don't have the opportunity to like go into the next round and like what it means to you, or even like signing the board of like, hey,
cool.
we're moving along, you know, like people are engaged. It's a whole storyline. Everyone gets involved. Yeah. And so it was between Craig and then my producer who came up with Alex, and then I just like greenlit it. I was like, oh yeah, perfect.
Yeah, because I've been on her podcast. I think a couple of our guys have been on the podcast, but it's like, I was so surprised when you guys announced her to do CJI. I was like, holy shit. Like, that's a huge step up, I feel like, in her career as well.
Oh, man. It was like, she absolutely killed it, and she was like an unsung hero. Like, my wife was like, oh my God, I love her. You know, doesn't watch anything in jiu-jitsu. So it was like, everyone was like singing her praises, and I feel like, you know, she like rose to the occasion. Dude, she did so good.
Fuck yeah, man.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. So, you got the teams built and shit like that. And now we're finally on CJI, like the day. What was it like the day of, or Craig? Because like I remember you were telling me the story with the pants ripping thing. That was kind of like a last minute.
Yes.
Kind of.
There was a trade, right? You guys.
There was a lot of last minute stuff. So like, just step back. Like the team was super small. It was myself. It was like a producer, an event producer. I had my boy Darren like helping me from afar, just giving me like guidance, and then Craig's being Craig on his whirlwind tour, you know, I'm like, just don't get blown up in Ukraine so we can pull this off, you know, like it's kind of important you're there.
He does some dangerous shit.
Yes, he does. He
for what?
Just for life experience, man. Brother. You can't like, I can't blame him, you know, like when we were there and they were going to Ukraine, I was like, oh, I really want to go, but I have 3 children. It's not responsible.
It's not worth it.
I will see you guys in America. And we just parted ways. And inside of me, I was in inner turmoil because I really wanted to go, but I was like, I just can't do that responsibly. But he can. So I was like, dude, high five, go. Keep in touch.
No one cares if he dies.
Well, it's like you don't have a wife and kids.
And then the last person I do want to say like that came on, moving on, was Anthony Horta, who was at our gym, came on as my executive assistant, like, I guess like right at the end of May and June, where I was like about to break because it was just too much going on nonstop. And he was actually one of our students, and he kept emailing me. I was getting spam emails.
Anthony, what's...
Yeah, I didn't even know. And then he came, finally like, I'm bumping this to the top of your list. I went to Harvard. I've been an executive assistant before. I work at HBO. I'm down for the love of the game. I moved to B Team for an opportunity. I'm all in on the foundation. And I was like, you had me at Harvard EA, boom. And so like he worked with me for like a month, and I'd never even met him.
Remember him?
That's not the guy he's talking about.
Oh, it says Anthony Horta.
You just
not this guy.
searched up some random
Definitely
guy.
not that guy. But he came on.
Yeah, I don't remember that guy. Doesn't look like he does any jiu-jitsu or anything.
But he came on and was an absolute weapon, dude. He took over a lot of stuff for me that I didn't have to like waste time on. So he was like a super big help. But other than that, that was really the team. Like we didn't have a big team at all. And I didn't have any, it's like, you know, it's like, I'm not paying you nothing for nothing. You know what I mean? It's like you have to be in the love of the game because it's like we're doing it for free, which is a big challenge because even athletes were like, hey, why don't you pay me $100,000 to show? And then when I win, you just give me $900. And I'm like, yeah, no deal. Wow. You know? No. Or like there were some other people, some MMA managers I had to deal with. They were like, you don't have like a Nicky Rod. You don't have a Gordon. I'm like, well, first of all, you don't know who I have. And second of all, I do have Nicky Rod. He's my guy. And they're like, congratulations. Well, but this guy would be really great for you. And I'm like, yeah, it's 10,001 to show. And if he wins, he can win $1 million. He's like, well, if you change your mind, I was like, I won't change my mind. But if you change your mind, the door's always open. Wow. So it was interesting. He had a lot of those things going on.
Did you get in contact with any like high level UFC guys? Like,
yes.
Luke Rockhold's super high level.
Yes. Not an IQ, but in technical skills. No, I'm just joking. I love you, Luke. No, Luke was like game from day one. Like he was just like, oh, I'm in. This is cool. I want to like, he's good grappling. You know, he's like, oh, this is an awesome opportunity. And he's like our boy. So he was like, oh, I want to support you guys. So he was like all in.
How did, just like a little side tangent, how did Luke get like, because at some point you all started hanging out a lot. I don't know when.
I had the feeling that when Craig and Luke met, I was like, this is going to be fireworks.
This is a friendship.
Yeah.
Was that?
Did they meet
when
at
you guys
a
trained together?
No, I think it was at the
karate
podcast, right? Is that where they met? The Jackson podcast?
I think they met the podcast, but then when Volk fought in Vegas, y'all trained together.
Oh yeah, that's
y'all
right.
did the trio train.
Yeah.
And I think that's where they met. And then
Kind of hit it off and
then it was like, hey, we need to get like, obviously the Gabby and Craig is like a novelty match, but we need to like validate the actual athletic competition with athletes. Under 80 was, you know, stacked right away.
God,
and then over 80, we had Nicky Rod, and then you had like Victor Hugo, and then we originally had Mason, but it was like, what other crossover stars? That's kind of the reason that we did the 10-point must open scoring and the 5-minute rounds is like, how do we capture UFC audience? Because that's what grappling doesn't do. And so it's like, if we can use their rule set and then do 10-point must where a person that watches MMA that has no interest in training or fighting, but is so obsessed with the sport, if they can get into grappling, because it's just like, that's what you want from mainstream. Just like football, basketball, there's people that never played anything and they're just obsessed with it. That's what we want, is the crossover. So it's like, oh, let's try to get a crossover athlete. And Luke fit that. Like, good looking dude, UFC champion, and has legit jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
As he says, legitsu. And so,
is that what he says?
yeah. And so he came over, and then when we went to Turkey to do the oil wrestling, he wanted to he was like, oh, you should come. And he was like, oh, man.
Closer during that.
And then he came.
That shit's so gay.
It's extraordinarily gay, yeah.
What was that about?
The love of the content,
was
brother.
so gay.
First of all, it's the oldest consecutive combat sport in the world. It was 700 years in that same stadium.
Wow.
And it's like a traditional thing. Like in Turkey, it's not gay because they're like, no gay people here. No one's gay. How could it be gay?
Yeah, let me
I'm definitely not gay.
Yeah.
Put my hand in your pants.
And then it's like,
We're
then
like,
it's
gay.
like
Now oil up and let me
wrestling.
get in there.
Wrestling got so easy
weirdo.
and so dominant. So like, how can we make this harder? We'll just cover each other with Turkish olive oil.
Make this harder, all right.
Yeah, and then it's like the pants is like, it's the only way to get a grip. So it's like
stick your hand in the pants.
You have to, you stick your hands in, and you have to either grab the seam of this leather, or you go all the way in, like it looks like you're going for the fucking oil check, but you're sticking your fist down there to get a grip to grab the pant.
God.
Because it's like a pant. It's like a Toriando pass. It's like you're grabbing the belt and the pants to like turn someone.
So tell me,
it's hard.
what's underneath the pants?
Nothing. You're not allowed to wear anything.
Just straight dick.
Getting
And
those
it's
pants
not
on,
gay.
getting those pants on is like a challenge in itself.
They're like
and
soaked, pre-soaked.
They're pre-soaked with olive oil. They weigh like
Olive oil?
20
Turkish olive oil.
Yeah, they're
that's
like,
what it is.
that's nice.
They're 12 kilos, the pants.
Wow, that's heavy.
Heavy leather pants. It's like a rope. And then it's like, you just drop trowel, they put a towel on you, and then you lube up and get in, and then you have to dump olive oil all over you. And then you're going in a field in the sun, so you can't sweat. And you can't break when it gets in your eyes. There's no stop. So it's just like,
olive oil in your freaking eyes.
it's so tough.
Oh.
It's so tough. Yeah.
Will you guys be
olive
doing
oil-
Turkish olive oil wrestling?
I mean, if I was there, I would do it.
Yeah, like can you imagine going all the way over there, like our friend Mitch,
not
the
do
absolute
it?
coward, and was like, "No, I'm not doing that."
Mitch
Like,
wasn't down.
I was like, "You're so gay, bro. You're so
gay, dude.
You're so gay.
Fucking put
You won't
this
get
olive
lubed
oil
up."
on you.
Yeah, it was so embarrassing. I was
make
like,
it weird,
"What a
homo."
coward!"
Shit on lube
No,
my
it was
hand
just
in your
like,
pants.
"Hey, you're going around the world through jiu-jitsu, like, and they have."
May as well lube up and
Yeah, but they have like, it's like jiu-jitsu is like part of this community of grappling. So it's like you go to a country that has like a history of like tough guy grappling. We met like the OG, like basically the Michael Jordan of the event. It was like a 9-time winner. And like, he like walked us out and like gave us the stuff. So it was like, it was a super cool experience. It was like, if you grapple, would you not go to like any part of the world and just be like, you know what? I'm going to try this. Like, we're going to go to Senegal, Africa. You don't think you want to get in there and just wrestle?
Give it a
Like,
shot.
Give it a shot. Like, just try. Like,
I would be a world champ synagogue.
Well, I was gonna say, how good are these Turkish wrestlers? Like,
they're good, dude.
are they like?
It's technical. It's
It's
super.
really
It's super technical. Like if you get like, it's an overhook pant grip, and then it's like a battle of like, I don't know, like just a grind.
Like, do you think someone like a Jason Nolf will just be a champion in Turkish oil wrestling?
Dude, I don't know. Like, you think you're gonna shoot a double leg? It was funny. Like Luke was like, "Yeah, what if I do this?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, it looks good. I don't know if you're gonna be able to pull that off." And it's like
for
super
sure,
tough.
there's like nuances that change.
in like collar ties, it's just like slipping. And you're like
It's all about,
headbutting.
like,
It's all
pant
about
grips.
getting the pant grips. It's like
Interesting.
Interesting,
We
yeah.
should try this.
You ever?
it's fun, dude.
You ever see like the
Turkey,
one?
man.
It was
Exhibition oil match.
so hard. It was so hard.
You ever see like the African boxing with like the one?
Yeah.
They have
Like, I
one
don't-
hand, right? Wrapped up.
I'd have to do very well in that. Like that looks.
We can only
so,
punch with one hand.
You have
Yeah,
one
but
hand
they're
for
so-
grabbing, one hand for punching,
It's just
right?
like, from what it looks like, it's like there's no technique or form, and they're just swinging
Some
like
of them
a
hit like Francis with a
Yeah.
hands.
fucking crack him with a jab, man. Hit him with a hard
Well,
overhand.
you can't
drive.
jab.
You can't
You
jab.
can, I mean, you
Yeah,
can't
only
it
use
has
power
to be
hand.
your rear
You have
hand.
one
It
hand.
has to be your
Yeah.
rear hand.
I don't think you could punch with two hands.
Well, I know. I just switch
You
stances.
choose
jab,
which
jab,
hand.
jab.
You choose which hand to punch. Maybe I don't.
I don't know the
actually
rules,
for
baby.
sure, but
fuck, whatever.
All right, we gotta go.
They're only swinging haymakers. as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, that's true. I don't know.
it's more entertaining.
But
all right, well,
anyways,
back to
Yeah, that's how Luke got into the mix.
Yeah,
basically,
okay.
just traveled with us, came there, and then was down with it. And then, hey, shout out to Luke for being like a soldier because he was so injured, like he could barely walk. He was like getting injections in his back, like at the weigh-ins, because like we had strict rules.
Back injury, right?
We had strict rules for the weigh-ins, and I was like, oh, if you don't show up by or communicate by 11, you're cut. And then everyone was there, like so smooth, so fast, so professional. And I was like, oh my god. And then Luke wasn't there, and I'm like, you gonna make you the example, bro? And he's like, dude, I'm getting an injection in my back. I will be there. And so he was like super impaired, and came out and did it. He's like, oh, I was gonna pull out for you guys, so
What were like the biggest? Were there any hiccups during like that weekend? Like any huge fuck ups? Because from the outside it looked very smooth. It didn't seem like there were any problems.
I mean, nothing that I would consider major. Like, the alley, there was like some extreme delays and like building that thing because the first time and like it just went over. So like causes like budget issues for me on the back end because of like overtime and the event center. Those are things like you couldn't kind of plan for. But nothing really, like surprisingly, the team I had in place does so many events and I'm so OCD that we were like, not a credit to me, but they were like, Seth, we're so far ahead. Like, you're so far ahead. And I'm like, I don't know, but I don't have a frame of reference, so I don't trust you. So I'm saying, no, we're not. Like, we're behind. So I wanted to make, like, so, like, relaxed, because once the day starts, it's a living, breathing machine. Like, there's not much I can do. You
can't stop
I
it.
can't stop
It's
anything.
rolling, you can
It's
only try to keep
rolling,
up
and like, you can make like fine adjustments, like for, like you brought up a Craig's walkout, like that wasn't planned. And so they're like in my ear, like, this isn't rehearsed. We have 30 seconds. I'm like, we don't need a rehearsal. Get the jit cam, get a standing guy. He's going to go from right here. He's going to pause. He's going to hit it. And they're like, we haven't rehearsed it. I was like, he's 1 shot, 1 kill. Don't mess it. And they're like, okay. Like that was like right before.
Just
and it,
on the fly.
and
Wow.
it came out perfect, like,
amazing.
did it
Best
perfect.
entrance ever.
Ever,
Fucking I thought he was gonna grapple with the underwear on.
That was the
thought
funniest
so,
thing, is
yeah.
that everyone started booing when he put his shorts on. The whole crowd. I was like, dude, what have we built here?
He should have fucking just grappled with that. It was so
we
funny.
would have seen some
A nut
scrotum,
would have
bro.
popped out for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Bro, come on, CJI audience, that would have been hilarious.
It would have been monumental.
That would have been hilarious.
Everything went like as smooth as it could go. I mean, of course, myself, I'm there like looking at all the problems. Like I still can't like step out and be like, oh, this is awesome. But now I can. But
You can sit back and like enjoy it from.
But CGI too, like there's not much I would change. Like obviously the thing that we didn't want happened, which was day one going the distance. Like we had it on a tracker and a spreadsheet, and it was like, if it all goes the distance, because you have to plan for that. Like that's production, camera, crew, everything. And it's like, if it goes the distance, we're not ending this thing till like 1 a.m. And I'm like, no way that's gonna happen. There's gonna be some finishes because of the alley. I got Nicky Rod on there. He's gonna smoke some people.
He did.
Yeah, he did. And but like outside of him, Lucas Kennard, and I think Felipe Andrew,
Savage.
there was no finishes. They all went the distance. And so it just made it such a long day. But for the fan experience or in the arena or the people working it, that was difficult. But for us in the analytics portion, man, it crushed it, because we had people tuning in on the live stream all day and an average view
They're
duration
like
that was
new time
over
zones
40
checking
minutes.
in.
Oh, dude, it was just like, it crushed on the back end. So like when people are inside like melting, internally I'm like, yes, this is good for the analytics. This is good for me on the back end. So, you take
From
the good and the bad.
from an athlete perspective, it was super well run. Like I like you guys. We had you guys split up our warm up areas. Yeah, you had somebody pull us out to the pre-match warm-up area in like the perfect amount of time, like 20-30 minutes before. For me, the texture of the competition surface was phenomenal. Super grippy, not an ounce of slip going on. Even when we were sweaty, no slipping at all.
What was it, normal tatami mats?
No, it's canvas. It's canvas over mats, like over foam. So it's more like a UFC octagon type
Okay.
There
canvas.
wasn't the like rectangular.
No.
Oh shit.
One big layer of canvas over everything.
Yeah.
Literally like a cage.
Yeah, and it
style.
all came printed from overseas, so the logos are not like, they're
Plastered on,
actually
so they get
made into it, so there's no like slippery.
Slippage.
The texture is the same.
The logos are always the slipperiest part of the stage.
That was like the big concern. Like that was the concern, was like the canvas and the texture, because I was super worried. Like I had samples and I'm like, oh man, I don't know. That was a concern, but I think that was a benefit for us, is that Craig being an athlete and being on so many shows, that his input was like super beneficial, even from like how we did the brackets, to be like, look, I don't care how much money I've been competing for. If I was waiting around for like 7 hours, I'll be pissed. He's like, so let's do a check-in, and then the athletes come at a later point in time, which made me nervous, because you're like, you can't trust athletes. But going into it, everyone, I think, was so about the cause that everyone was like, the smoothest thing. Like Jason Herzog and everyone was like, dude, I've never seen a weigh-in go this smooth, this fast, that everyone showed up on time. Everyone was respectful. And I think it was, 1, everyone was getting paid. 2, I think we were really clear on like expectations and like rules. And then 3 was like, for athletes, like we had a room, we had a PT, we had a cut man, we had a doctor on board, like things you don't have at a normal grappling event. So if anyone got cut, we had a cut man right there, or cut woman, I should say, that was going to suture you up and do everything. We had a doctor that's like, can you continue? Like if you have a concussion or whatever. And then we had like the best PT in the world. Our boy Bainesy, who's Volk's PT, came, he was there. And so he was just like, hey, I'm here for the cause to support you guys as my friends. So he was like, doing wraps, doing work on like Barboza's shoulder was destroyed. He wrapped Jozef after he got popped. So like just had all these like different things. Like Pat Downey was like, oh, how much do I got to pay the PT? I'm like, you don't, dude. It's part of being an athlete. He's like, wait, what? And I'm like, yeah, man, he'll work on you this whole week. And he was like, this is sick. And you're like, yeah, it's like an athlete event for athletes by athletes. So it's like, I think that like, to your point, like made people like feel not only a part of something, but professional. Like we really wanted to make it like a professional event. That's why I was like always using UFC as a comparison. Like how would the show look and how would you be treated in the back so that like everyone felt like I'm a pro.
So you talked about doing a CJI 2, which obviously means, you guys were able to, you guys can sustain this via like, the viewers, the ticket sales, the sponsors and shit like that. But obviously this is your first time doing this event. So leading up to the event, how did you get the sponsors? How did you value yourself to be like, oh, I want X amount because this is what it's worth? Like, how are you doing these calculations for the sponsors and shit?
Well, that was actually challenging. But
you blew it out of the water.
Yeah. So my thought was like, I didn't want it to look like NASCAR out there. I didn't want a bunch of low level brands. And I wanted to do like the pitch deck. I was really proud of, like we had our graphics guy like help and do something, but it was like for me was showing that this is like the Stephen Bonner, Forrest Griffith moment for our sport, so that something like it's going to be a big part of it. So when Stephen Bonner and Forrest Griffin fought on that UFC Tough finale, that's when the UFC blew up because everyone's like tune in, like watch this match.
It was Cade Tackett.
And dude, it's so funny because they did a meme where they did that picture that I had in my sponsor deck and they put Cade Tackett. And for me, it was like, dude, I wrote that. That was page 1 of my thing and it
orchestrated
happened.
It.
Yeah, dude, like gives me goosebumps, man. It was like, oh my God, this happened. So when I put the pitch deck, I'd seen the other organization's pitch deck, which was amateur in my opinion. And so I was like, I'm not going to go for low level stuff. I'll just put a higher price tag and then I'll only take a select number of people to hit the mark, and then I'll cover the rest if we have to do it. Like Craig and I were willing to do it personally. Like we did fund some things personally, and then just select the right partners that wanted to be a part of it, and then show the success. And then the next round will be way easier because that was one of the things we got honey-dicked hard, or I should say, I got honey-dicked.
I don't know what honey-dick means.
Honey-dicked hard is when people were like talking to you and being like, I'm going to get you a $250,000 sponsorship. This is an awesome event. I guarantee I'll get this for you. I will go get this for you and blah, blah, blah. And then ghost you. So many brands came up or would take me like multiple meetings and come and see the pitch deck and be like, oh, I love what you're doing. I want to be a part of this. This is awesome. And they'd be like, okay, this is great. And then right up to the event and then get on the call and be like, nah, we're not going to do this. Like, you've never done this before and you don't have any experience. Let's see how CJI 1 goes and then we'll come back.
And now you name your price.
Yeah, yesterday's price is not today's price. So that happened so much to me that I got just frustrated, and it came to this like funny that Craig was like making fun of me. He was like, oh, what is it? What's the ask? Because I get on the call and be like, what's the ask? What do you want? Like before I go through all this pitch, before we go talk, before you waste hours, like I don't have time. I've done this too many times and I'm like losing patience. So like, what do you want or what you're willing to put in? And then it's like, okay, move on.
Also, let's blur out the numbers.
Oh yeah. So it was like, I just did a range and then like push towards the premium. And then I like a la carted it. So like when other brands would come in and be like, hey, listen, like if that's the max you can do, I'll give you a VIP experience or placement for this cost because I recognize the value in your brand and like you being there, you know? So that was like how I did it. But that's why you saw like the hero shot. So where the athletes all walk in, that's why it was B team under. Cause it was like, hey man, like this is my show. Every athlete's gonna walk out and there's gonna be camera on big B team front and center. It's like our branding, it's our channel. Awesome. And then that's why like the charities were in each corner because it was like I selected Tap Cancer Out and I selected Academy Christus. So it was like those are the two things. That's gonna be the main shot. And that's why I had like the El Segundo Productions business, which is like our production company Craig and I have that does the podcast, was on the side. Same thing with like B Team Studios. It's like, hey, these are all my companies. I'm doing all the work. I'll put it in there. And that's why like Fair Fight Foundation was in the middle. That's going to get the most love, the biggest shot. So people remember that it's about charity because that's one of the things you go through and you're like, we're raising money for charity. We're doing these things for awesome causes. But when you talk to sponsors and you talk to business, it's greed first, heartstrings second. So if you lead with, this is for charity and all this stuff, they're like, yeah, cool. What do I get out of it? So you have to reverse it. It's be like, this is the demographics you're going to hit. This is the views you're going to hit. These are all the things that you're going to get. And by the way, It's a nonprofit.
charity.
It's for charity. You can get a deductible and you can support an awesome cause.
realistic.
Yeah, because people don't care, that's what it is, you know?
So you learned, or you blew the first one out of the water. You're already talking about CJI 2. What are like things that you're going to change, or what are the weight classes for CJI 2? Can you announce them? You know, what can you talk about?
That's TBD. Yes, do a CGI 2 for sure. It would be a failure not to. Like, that's my vision. It's like,
Bi-yearly or?
yeah, I'll do it annual because...
Oh, annual.
Yeah, annual. To do it next year because, one, there's no competition. There's no ADCC.
There's no ADCC to compete with.
So there's more athletes that are willing to be involved because a lot of the athletes, even some that won the championships, were all in on CGI and then got paid last minute and went to ADCC and hit goals. So when I even talked to athletes before, I didn't try to sell anyone on anything. I'm not a professional athlete. I'm like, hey man, this is your dream. If your dreams have been doing ADCC, I will be rooting for you on Sunday. The same thing like I told Jay. Like, hey man, I'm not going to sway you. I'm not here to tell you. I'm just like, this is an option. If you want to do it, cool. If you want to do ADCC, cool. Just let me know and don't waste time so that I can like give your slot to someone else. Like, I don't judge anybody. But next year, there'll be no competition. So you have like more athletes that would be willing to do it because there's nothing else. Yeah. I think with the success of it and just the athlete buy-in, so many athletes and so many OGs in the stadium were like, dude, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. I would love to be a part of this. Like, I want to do this. Like, count me in next year. So it's like, now you have the athlete buy-in in the community. So they're going to do it. And then if there's no rivalry, then people don't feel like they're on the fence. Because there's some athletes that were like, hey, I'm not doing your event because I know you and Craig will forgive me. And I don't know if I'll get forgiven on the other side. So count me in for the next one. You know, I'm like, well, Craig's petty, dude. I don't know.
He is very petty.
I was like, look what we did. Pettiness.
I have so many like questions about what CJI 2 would look like. Obviously, there's some stuff, a lot of stuff you can't really, or maybe you're unsure of, or you can't really like unveil yet. I'm thinking like, what can you tell us, viewers, about what it might look like? It's going to be, obviously, you just said, ideally every year.
Every year, I think every year. So I would like to do it same time frame.
Around August.
It's just like make sure there's no competing events like a UFC, for example. Yeah. Like we would have had our boys here if it wasn't UFC Perth.
Oh,
right?
that's true. It was the same weekend.
Our friends like Volk and Joe Lopez would have come and like Ben.
Izzy would have probably been there.
Yeah, they would have been there.
There were
but
still a lot of celebrities at the
for sure.
event,
But there was a counter programming of UFC Perth. So like even our boys like from Mac Life, Oscar, he's like, oh dude, I got to cover UFC. I wish I could support you guys. Yeah. So
you had to do it on that weekend.
You had to, man. That was part of the criteria. Like I'm not getting the money unless you go head to head.
Yeah,
that was part of the challenge, which made it more. Like keep you up at night when there's a challenge. Like that's I like the challenge.
It's a fire.
Like that's why I wanted to do it. Like, oh, can I do this? Like I want to do this.
It's a gamer.
That was part of the mystique,
the intrigue. Of like doing it. So I wouldn't change too much on like the timing, even the event center.
Thomas and Mack.
The production. Yeah, like dude, it's great value. I had some issues with the third party ticketing, but that's in the weeds.
Honestly, I felt like the Thomas and Mack feeling, it was like electric. It was sick.
Insane.
It was amazing.
During the Tackett Cade match, that was
the one more round.
Insane.
That's sick, dude.
Insane.
That's never happened.
Right when that happened, I was like, that's my marketing pitch for the sponsorship too. Like one more round. Like, dude, Craig and Luke looked at me like, do it one more round. I was like, no, we can't. I was like, yes, we can. I was like, no, there's rules, bro. You can't change this. And Luke's like, Seth, you should do it. I'm like, you're an idiot. Shut up. They were like literally considering it. And I was like, no, dude, no. And they're like, Cade's going like this. And they're like, he wants it. I'm like, no, we don't. Because there's rules. You can't change. You can't change.
Them, like Cade or
they both would have been down, bro. They both would have been down.
I know, but you just can't change the rules. Like, you just
it takes a steady mind, like
I was like,
keep it grounded. Keep it grounded.
I was just like,
let him fight. Throw punches. Throw a knife in there.
Yeah, I was like, no, we're not doing that. So
you need an epic moment like that, and
like that. Like Thomas and Mack, to your point though, was like that was 61 days of ticket sales, and we did 70% to capacity. So imagine 6 months, 8 months, I'm gonna sell out, and there's no ADCC.
Yep.
Guaranteed. And then why would I go? It goes against our ethos. Like, I'm going to go to another event center that costs 5x the cost.
Imagine you guys do
Go
the
to
exact
T-Mobile Arena.
Go to T-Mobile.
It was talked about. It was talked about.
We're gonna get buffer.
If I got dumb money, maybe we would.
That would be so funny if you guys
Because
just go full. Like,
I'm not being
They start doing 3 mats at a time.
No. So that won't change. Like, that's what I felt. One, it does add layers of complexity to the production time when you only have one mat. That's
makes
what
it longer.
Makes
Yeah,
it longer.
you have
That's why
one
you couldn't
stage.
have as many
Yeah.
divisions, as many athletes. Like, we literally could have had every girl from ADCC come over if we would have done it. It was like discussed. They called me like, "Can we do this?" I'm like, "No, dude, we don't have the production time. Like, we cannot do it. Like, maybe next time we'll have like more girls, more divisions. But having the one alley,
I think it's
You
better
need that.
having
You
one.
need
you have to. It makes people special. Everyone's involved in it. You're not like distracted.
The crowd is synced up.
Synced
if
up.
something good happens, they
Yeah.
cheer. If something bad happens, they boo, and they're all on the same page.
I don't know, Nikki, you say you like you're the star of the show, dude. Like, I can only imagine that feeling is much more rewarding to be like the center focus. There's nothing else going on. Like, everyone's clued in on you.
In ADCC, when something happens, you're like, oh, they're cheering because of me, or you're like something else going on. It's like when it's just you out there, you know it,
Or
you feel it.
in the middle of a match, you can be competing against somebody, and then someone hits like a big takedown, and the whole crowd's screaming, but you don't like it's not for you.
Meanwhile,
So
you're
it's
just like collar tie to collar
Yeah,
tie.
you're
You're
like,
like,
oh,
what
it's
the?
not for me.
It's kind of
Yeah, one match at a time is the way to do it.
Yeah.
And that's I think that contributed to why the energy was so
Yeah,
elevated.
that's what I think. Like, that one more round, and then like the Gabby moment, like Gabby getting her flowers, bro. That was awesome. Like, it was so cool to see that.
How about
the fans around?
How about the Lucas Victor Hugo match?
Lucas Kennard.
Kennard.
I don't know how to say his last
Lucas
name.
Kennard.
That was
Insane.
insane.
Lowest seed versus second to
Like
top
second
Last minute replacement.
seed? Last minute. Oh,
Yeah, because
replaced
Mason got hurt, and then we pulled him in. He won.
He hurt his back, right?
Yeah, he hurt his back, and then he had won ADCC Trials, but he had won it just like that. Like, his highlight reel is like 5 heel hook submissions and like lightning quick. And so the other guys knew when he came on board, they're like, dude, watch out. This guy had like crazy odds. And I was like, oh, I believe you. I'm just 2 in the weeds on the event. And then I had to go back to talk to the event center, and then I came out and he already smoked him. You know, I couldn't
Insane.
believe.
Yeah, that moment, everyone like in ADCC were like warming up backstage. Everyone was talking about like there were guys on their phones, just like, oh my god, did you hear? They're like,
Yeah, because Victor Hugo's like a big name. He was like a
they all-
favorite. Like, for sure. Like,
The idea was him and Nicky Rod. That was going to be.
I thought the holes in the games get exposed.
That's it, man.
yeah,
That's for sure.
It was crazy. He's so good at that too. He's a great guy too. And he's like
Lucas,
he had an awesome story. He won the submission bonus.
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
he came on late. He won the submission bonus. He's recently a new father too. So he was like,
Oh, big.
I love the
moment
people
for
that
him,
like
man.
came
Yeah.
over, like had the ADCC win trials, like the Tackett brothers.
He won trials, right, Lucas?
Yeah,
Okay.
he won the Asia trials, and like he's like, oh, I won, but I'm gonna come do this. Like, that's why I love the Tackett. So when they first came on, they're like, my whole dream was to do ADCC, but I'll go win it again, and I'll do this again. Like Jozef,
Yeah.
like pfft, I'll do it again.
Yeah,
and I was
yeah,
like, the belief is pretty awesome.
Jozef and Barbosa is like Josef's doing so great the whole match, and has a simple mental error of like thinking it's over before it's over.
Yes.
Pulls guard. It's like, man, dude, he could have won that.
If he
match
just
for
stayed,
sure.
what's
Stayed
crazy
wrestling.
about that match is, Joe Chen out wrestled Lucas, and then Lucas leg locked Joe.
It's crazy.
So backwards.
So backwards.
Like, to put that, if you had said this is going to happen before, you'd be like, you're retarded. You're out of your fucking mind. That's
I
not-
know, and I wanted like for me like. I couldn't have favorites. I was being the promoter, but obviously I wanted
it's
Nicky
me
Rod
too.
to win, like for sure. And then I wanted Jozef to win. Like I was like, he's so good. He's so young. He's like trained so smart
Three
for
times
it.
a day, he
you know.
works like, so hard, man. It's fucking
Nothing against Nicky, but leading up to it, the condition
hard,
Nicky
yeah.
was in, I was like, oh man, I want Jozef
Break
to
it down,
make it
man.
happen.
Yeah.
And all it was like Joseph was like, oh, like I'm winning this match, 2 minutes left. I'll just pull guard so he can't pass my guard.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then
He
because
sits back.
he took his foot off the gas, that
Lucas
got him
capitalized.
stuck. Capitalized. Yeah. Dude, it's not over till it's fucking
till
over,
the fat lady sings.
Dude, I couldn't believe it too because I wasn't like super familiar with that submission. So like when he's like stuck in it, I'm like, this isn't good. But I was like, dude,
Lucas versus Barbosa. I mean, Lucas versus Barbosa. Joe versus Barbosa. It's a battle of yourself, really.
and dude, Barbosa was so injured coming in. He was one
Yeah,
that like
his shoulder and everything,
His
yeah.
shoulder was wrecked, and then like he was the only one having trouble making weight. Like
He's
Bro, I
been
heard-
over 200 pounds before.
easy. Yeah.
I mean, do you remember the I think it was 2019 ADCC against Gordon, bro? He looked like
210.
He literally looked like the Hulk. His name Hulk, but
Yeah,
he literally
massive.
looked like the Hulk.
Yeah.
But
He's not as angry these days.
He's such a good dude.
Lucas
he's a great
Barbosa is
dude.
a fucking awesome person.
Yeah, he's
If he
a
sees
good
this,
dude.
For real. Like he would fit in at B team.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
so easy. Yeah,
I heard he had to weigh in like a couple times, right? To
Oh,
go
yeah.
run out in the park.
Yeah,
or
then he had like
something.
100 grams like the left, and he was just like shred city, and then like put on the plastics and went out in that heat, and then like got it done. Yeah,
I would like a match against Barbosa.
Yeah. Have you guys never?
No, we did compete against each other when I was a blue belt, and it was like an EBI thing. And as I was getting up off the mat, he like kind of like almost humped my forehead, and was like, "I'll see you soon."
Oh no. Okay, never mind. He's not that great of a person. Never mind. Fuck you.
Hey, things come full circle. I'll catch him again. You get him when you are.
So all right.
Okay, so
now,
yeah. I think it's like same place, same timing, same center folks alley. I think the only thing that we need to work on is like how we do the divisions. Maybe it's like, I don't know. I need to talk to Craig, but I want to get Craig.
Little 155.
Craig needs some downtime, so it's like, we're both like a little overwhelmed with CJI. You know, it's like I thought I'd be done with it, and I'd take a break after being like 100 days,
Hell no.
like guns blazing, and then it just got worse right after. Like all the honey dickers, dude, blowing my phone up. I'll fly to Austin tonight, and I'm like,
fuck
dude,
you.
get fucked, bro. I'm still like doing all like the financials, dude. Like hopefully close this week. I'll have all the donations, and then I can do more cool announcements and stuff. But there's just a lot of work to do. So kind of get a little mental break in a week, and then Craig and I will go through it and just talk about like, I think the only thing we need to fine tune like is brackets and super fights. That's all I would like do differently, you know. But dude, I'm here. You guys make some suggestions, man.
Would you
Like,
ever do a 3-day event?
I mean, that's a lot to ask, and it's a lot of production. Like, I think 2 days is like a sweet spot, and I think doing a Saturday, Sunday would be awesome. That was my concern with Friday, is like when we were starting and it being long, is because like we are obviously like going after the same demographic. So the people that had already committed to ADCC. That's why we also made like our tickets so cheap and go to charity. So then people were like on the fence. You're like, dude, it's going to charity, and I made the tickets so cheap.
It's a no-brainer.
Like so cheap, like not even close to the value they were
But
worth.
so I mean, yeah, I guess like you can't really do a 3-day event. Maybe it's too much, but like there is that obstacle of having one stage.
Yes.
Like, do you think there is a solution? Are there any things you're thinking of? Or anything?
Bro, one stage is where it's at.
Yeah, I agree. One
Yeah.
stage. I'm not saying don't make it one stage, but like, how do you?
Have you thought about? Because I remember I texted Seth. Is actually Andrew Tavares had when we were talking about it after had mentioned it. It's like, what are your thoughts on doing how the Ultimate Fighter does, where it's like 2 rounds, and if it's 1-1, then it goes to a 3rd round, or do you not like that at all? Because that's what the Ultimate Fighter does. They
Shave
just have-
time off. Yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's 2 rounds, and if you know
If there's a decisive winner, if they won 2 rounds, then boom,
What are
that's
your
it.
thoughts on that?
I mean, I understand like shaving production time, but I think like one of the struggles that we have in jiu-jitsu and like overall competitions and why it's not mainstream is that you just don't have some like universal rule set. And so like taking the MMA rule set and just sticking to it, it makes it like easy to understand. There's no differences. The only difference that we did is we made it open, because if you're a jiu-jitsu person, you're used to knowing the score.
Yeah.
Right. And it also made the crowd way more engaged, because they're like, oh dude, there's no mystery. It's like, dude, this
he's
guy's
up, he's
winning,
gotta come
this
back
guy's
from it.
losing. So it's like,
Yeah.
if you don't know jiu-jitsu, which can be kind of confusing, then maybe it made it better.
Yeah.
On the production side, I see it, but I want to stick to like keeping everything uniform. That's the problem with like all these other promotions. Like they're all their pros and cons, right?
Yep.
Like Eddie Bravo was explaining when we were in LA, like talking, like making a pitch for his rules. And I like his rule set. Like he broke it down to me like in a new way. Was like, listen, I took the 2 positions that are synonymous with jiu-jitsu and finishing and made that like the ending sequence. So like if you see a silhouette of a rear naked choke, or you see a silhouette of an armbar, you know that that's a finishing move in jiu-jitsu. So that's why my rules have that. And so it's like the submission decides the winner. And he's like, not too often they get gamed. And I'm like, well, people do game those rules. Everyone's going to game any rules,
it's
right?
Easier. Yeah. Well, it's kind of hard to game it's just open scoring and open grappling.
Exactly.
Like
So
you can game EBI. You can
but like in like ADCC, same, they have different rules. Like WNO has different rules and time limits. Like
Polaris too.
Polaris. It's like they all have difference, and you're like, it's the same sport. So if like we want to capture the MMA audience, it's the closest one. So like combat sports is the fastest growing sport in the world, but the most accessible of all combat sports is jiu-jitsu. You're not getting head trauma. So you have like the age of like kids to like old people training, from like smart people to fucking idiots.
Like us.
Like me.
It's huge.
What about
It's like a huge demographic, man. It's like, and they're willing to pay a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like for jiu-jitsu.
What about I just thought of this, like starting, because I know you guys started around 3 or 4, right? You could just start at like, I don't know, 12 or that would be
we thought about that, but it was like also the OT and like production costs, and then it was also like people flying in, like who's gonna be there on Friday. Like if you flew in for ADCC, you didn't change your ticket. Like if you fly in the afternoon.
No, I mean for the next one.
For the next one? Yeah, on Saturday and Sunday?
Yeah, just start, because like you guys started a little like late, like 3 or 4. And
started 3.
The first day went a little later than everyone wanted. So maybe just start it like a couple hours earlier would kind of help that buffer.
Yeah, I think some of the feedback we got, like obviously day 2 was like so successful, but it was like the finals competing for the money, and then you had like the super fights. So those are big draws. Like Mackenzie Fionn, that's a crazy draw. Craig and Gabby globally was like a huge draw.
And even the matches that do go the distance, they're crazy names and people are more in for it.
Yeah, and like there's $1 million on the line. So
and it's closer
that
to
storyline is crazy. Like you see American Ninja Warrior, and it's like they're competing for $100,000, and people are like, oh my god, it's like $1 million, 2 dudes in a pit, like
way more.
That's exciting. So I don't know. I think that's the one we need to fine tune. Like I don't know. We tossed around like, oh, what if it's like 2 or multiple 8-man brackets or 8-woman brackets, and then like more super fights. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
for
a bigger price.
For super fights next year, what are the draws that can bring the same type of vibes? Because the thing is, like Craig and Gabby, like that
one of a kind.
That's insane. Yeah, like how can you can't really surpass it, but how do you get something?
Mikey was supposed to
Mikey
be
Musumeci versus Barack Obama. Solid.
But match made in the years, overdue for years.
Yeah, I think like promotional
Or
struggles.
Nicky Rod versus Gordon Ryan.
There we go.
Yeah,
that'd be an insane super fight.
That'd be an insane. That'd be an insane super fight.
His call out. Well, your call out was sick, but Gordon's call out was
complicated.
Like it was like I'll fight both for $1 million.
Holy
only
shit.
when my stomach is healthy and
On a Tuesday
on a
at
full
1
moon.
p.m.
Yeah,
It was like if Mercury is in retrograde, you're going down.
the comment was like if there's any time, any place, this is the exact opposite.
Yeah, that's a hilarious comment. But just Mikey was supposed to be a super fight, right?
Yeah, there's just like some promotional struggles. So
Okay.
yeah, like that's like contractual promotional issues that like
on Mikey's
cause the conflict. There's I can't discuss it, but there's one that would have broke the internet that was on the table that we are gonna try for on CJI too. That would be like huge crossover. So like
I'm
the
excited.
crossover is what I'm really focused on.
UFC fighter?
No,
I think I heard about it.
But
I think
it's just about like
Turkish oil wrestling.
creating
it's
crossover.
just a sick fucking
Just a sick
If I
matchup
remember-
and advocates for the sport. But
thinking
I'll tell you guys offline. But
Trump versus Kamala.
we would like to do more crossover.
Trump versus Biden, a grappling
Trump
match.
would fuck him up.
No, dude,
Hilarious,
that
bro.
would be that. Yeah, I think it's just more like crossover matches. If you can do like celebrities and then other athletes to get people engaged, and then it's like you draw the crossover with those like what I call a novelty match, and then you authenticate it by having like the best
Sick
in the world,
matches, yeah.
the best in the world. Because like, nothing against the over 80, but like you look at under 80, and man, it was just like
Sick.
Holy shit,
It was crazy.
It was crazy. Those names coming over. It was just like,
Yeah.
I was like, just unbelievable. It was like the best like bracket.
It was the
in
deepest-
history.
deepest
And the
history.
thing is like looking at the under 80 bracket, it's like the top 8 can win, and it's like it's fucking sick. And the whole bracket in and of itself is just amazing. It's like when I looked at Nicky Rod, like not taking anything away from Nicky Rod, it was like Nicky Rod's gonna be a fucking millionaire.
I thought that maybe because my name was released early, that maybe that discouraged from other people from.
That's why I didn't jump in though. Right?
Yeah, it makes it tough for like having an over 80 and an under 80 as the only 2 divisions because you lose out on like some really talented people. Not Ethan, but like lighter people.
More like me.
Not even, but really talented.
More like me.
No, I just mean like the little guys that you want to see. Like we wanted like Craig really wanted like Diego Pato to like jump in the mix, right? Like,
That would have been great.
You know.
That would have been fucking phenomenal. You guys could have given him a super fighters. What the fuck, bro? Jesus.
Like Fabricio Andre, Ethan, like, there's so many lighter guys that just can't go in that under 80. Because
Under
like,
80's too.
there's some
yeah,
people that are
They're
like
too
big,
big.
dude. Like Lucas Barboza made under 80.
Yeah,
like,
that's fucking.
William
No, I
Tackett
could've-
could have
won,
made
but, like,
under 80 and done the double dip like the Rotolos. You know what I mean?
Wait, who?
William could have gone under 80.
Yeah, Will could have done it.
He really should have done the under 80. I feel like.
Yeah,
man.
but they're bros, man. They don't want to compete.
Well, then split. Well, I don't know, but
Split it. Yes.
they have a double chance of winning the under 80.
That
It's
was like the best thing about the Rotolos, dude. They were so game from day one,
Dude,
and they were like
Rotolos are so
hell or high
fucking
water. They were gonna do it. So
Yeah.
even like promotional challenges, they're like, we don't care. I was like, can we get an injunction so that if they get sued, like at least we can, like, we're
not getting
clear.
in trouble.
You know what I mean? But they luckily Chatri's a legend and let him do it and was like supportive of it. But they were like so down and just like put us on the opposite side of the bracket. We'll kill each other. It'll be real.
We
And we're like,
all
oh
know.
my god,
Yes,
they're-
they would've
it's happened multiple times where they had to scrap.
it's so crazy.
Like in IBJJF. and
IBJJF shit, they're
yeah.
fucking.
It's
scrap.
crazy because
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Cade has like the accolades, but Ty's always the one that's beats
beats
him
him.
in competition.
Yeah,
It's interesting,
yeah.
you know.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, those guys, dude.
Bro, I'm down
Awesome.
to like go to Costa Rica and train and surf with them.
Oh,
Sick
fun.
with
dude,
that.
when we were signing checks, I was like, dude, I'm gonna come visit you guys in Costa Rica.
Yo, I'm coming.
100%.
I'm coming.
That's
That's
100%.
I want to go.
I want to go.
Yeah.
All
Just
right,
came back from
B team
Hawaii.
trip. Let's
Yeah.
fucking do it. Let's go tomorrow. Let's fucking go.
Exactly. You're like, we don't teach anyway, so we'll just leave. Let's go. yeah.
Bro,
we have zero responsibilities at B team. Let's just roll.
Ethan does nothing.
Yeah, I fucking podcast and sit on the couch.
Seth, you got it, right? Yeah, peace.
They're what they've built out there. I have never obviously been there, but it seems so fucking cool. They have like this compound.
Yeah, did you watch their series like lead up to
I saw
ADCC?
some
Yeah,
of
it looks pretty awesome. Yeah.
So the roots.
Yeah,
thing.
the
Oh,
roots.
lead up to it. Yeah. Lead up to CJI.
That's awesome.
Bro, it's so cool. Yeah, I'd love to go there out there one day.
Oh, dude, you know what would be sick? Actually doing, I don't know if you guys did, but kind of how like UFC Embedded does like different. You guys do that or no?
No, so we wanted to. So like on Craig's like road to CGI vlog, we wanted to go visit gyms, but it just became a timing and a monetary issue. Where it was like, dude,
That's a
You
fuckload
have
of.
to-
dude, we were
fucking-
like that was like one of the early struggles that I had with the teams. They were like, oh, we want to do this same idea and we're just gonna film with everyone. I'm like, bro, it's not happening. Like we don't have the money for that. We don't have the time for that. And they're like, no, we'll have them all come in. And I'm like, they're all booking their own flights and travel. It's going to be a shit show already. Like you're going to have them at weigh-ins and in a room for 3 questions. Like you're not going to be able to do it.
There's not enough-
It would be awesome because they were like using the model. You guys are young, but Metamoris, they used to have like an
I know
awesome
Metamoris.
series.
Remember that?
The lead-up series were awesome.
How like that's where all the money went instead of paying the athletes. He
Yeah,
fucking
exactly.
blew
Well, our
it
boy
on
Eddie was an
production.
event producer. That was on his resume, and I'd be like, "Oh, awesome! I guess you're just not the financial guy." So I made so many Metamoris jokes during the whole lead up.
That used to be my goal. I thought Metamoris was the fucking
the pinnacle.
Dude, they
Yeah,
just
I
they
did.
did like they were like
They were there
the
for
top, and they were the first ones, and it was like the best ones. They just mismanaged the funds, I guess. You know.
overshot it in some way.
Overshot, and the sport
Yeah.
wasn't as big then, so it's much
That's
bigger
fair.
now.
They had
It's grown a
less
lot,
pie to
for
grow
sure.
with.
But you know what's funny about this CGI stuff is that like no other, not saying names, but mainstream grappling media covers it. It's like so funny. Like your whole thing is to push the sport. To grow the
it's a
sport,
monopoly on
and you're
it.
like, nah, I'm not gonna. CGI didn't exist. It's like, man, you can't just like acknowledge
Give
that
a
it
shout
was
out.
great for
Maybe
the
they're,
sport.
like, contractually-
Elevated athletes, like contractually, it's like a media organization. Like,
Yeah. You
what?
can't cover.
You can't
They
just
went
like
behind their paywall.
Yeah,
you know?
like
It's wild.
It's so crazy to me, you know. But I don't know. It was a
So
success.
nothing. There hasn't been a single article
I
about
haven't
it.
seen anything from.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you'll see, like when grapplers fight on UFC Fight Pass or whatever. For like MMA, I just know like for me, Cody, shit like that. There still be articles about like UFC Fight Pass shit, but I'm surprised that
Yeah, it's like
the biggest fucking.
We throw like a big one. It's in the same hometown, and like you just can't say like
It's because
they did okay. You know, like even say something bad about it.
did well.
You know,
They
it's 'cause
can't acknowledge its existence.
the
It's kinda
YouTube
interesting.
channel is and Instagram is a direct competitor. It's a huge threat.
Yeah, and guess what?
Yeah.
Views per subscribers, we dominate
yeah.
B
Oh,
team.
not even
So
close.
Yeah.
just that you should know that.
Yeah,
Oh,
B team's been the YouTube's been exploding since, like, leading up and since.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
been
Would you
on fire.
do anywhere else besides Vegas? Like
I definitely would. The Vegas is just like do the second one and to alleviate like stress and challenges and unknowns.
already did it.
It's plug and play. Like I literally would not change anything about the production. There's like some in the weeds stuff that I'll change that is not interesting for anyone else. But like the production was awesome. The LED screen behind it, that digital board was sick. You know, like everything. What I thought was like from a viewer experience, the stream, like
Oh, spotless.
the stream was perfect. Like
Yeah.
better than our competitor's stream. You know, it's like
literally flawless.
yeah, literally
was that
flawless.
Thomas and Max guys or like
No,
oh you guys because like
Artists.
the biggest thing with streams is usually like the servers can like crash right when multiple people get on it or something.
No.
Zero crash,
Dude,
right?
no,
Nothing.
zero crash,
pretty
nothing,
smooth.
no glitch, nothing. So it was
The only
like
thing that can make it better is another one.
yes,
So
exactly.
fucking.
CGI 2 will definitely having,
You have
but
a whole
Vegas just
year.
easy. It's just easy.
Yeah,
They do- I feel like they make it very easy
Everyone
to, like,
likes.
hold stuff
Sorry,
there.
yeah,
That's
everyone likes to go to Vegas as well.
Yeah.
It's so easy to go around. We can get our fix with the gambling.
People are starting. You see, like I saw Simple Man posted like.
Dude, I get tagged in like
so
gambling
funny.
shit.
That's
yeah,
so
it's so
funny.
funny.
Fucking awesome.
We'll shut it down October.
We need more practice.
You guys are still down, right?
Oh, when is it? When is it? October
10th.
October 10th. Okay.
October 10th. Can you say anything about that yet?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Probably a couple weeks.
But
Yeah.
yeah. So fuck. Does that leave us? What else we got? Where's Craig right now?
Craig
question.
is on a plane to Brazil.
What's he doing in Brazil now?
yeah. Well, he was just in Australia. Now he's going
Yeah,
to Brazil.
he just landed, or he was on his way to Rio. Just doing Craig things, you know. Just
Bro, what?
going into the favelas and fucking
he wants to.
meeting.
Who
with
does he
people.
hang out with in
Coke
Brazil?
lords?
Like what's?
We're sending Freddie. We're sending Freddie.
Setting Freddie.
Sending Freddie. Sending Freddie. Freddie's leaving tonight.
Freddie will blend in, but Craig, no blend in.
Like
Craig's gonna be a hero down there.
what
man.
is it?
Come
Real
on.
quick. What is it like working with Craig?
It's always exciting, you know. There's always something to do. There's always
Keeps
like
you on your toes.
Keeps me on my toes. You know,
'Cause,
there's
like-
always something like new and interesting. Like it was like first do media, then it was like the podcasting. We hit those kind of goals. Then it was like, oh, let's do this film project. We're doing that. I've done that. And then it was like, oh, let's do a promotion. And so it's like learning new things, new challenges. You know, so it's like
What's cool? I mean, we talked about it a little bit. It's like the man parties like a fucking animal's all over the place, but he's a hustler.
Yeah,
Like,
Craig
on his
works-
phone, bro. He's a fucking hustler.
Craig works extremely hard. He also like he works extremely hard. He never stops working. He's always got a plan, and I feel like he does an amazing job of like leveraging his connections, and he never asks anybody for anything. That's like never asking anybody for anything. So when like we wanted help or we had help for people that like Craig, they were like, "Oh, I'll help you," because Craig never asks for stuff. You know, he just like he shows up,
People
he
are
works.
just down to go.
Yeah,
for what
yeah.
Craig
So
is
he
going
he
for,
manages
yeah.
his connections really well, and he's super creative. So he has like good ideas, and then that's like makes it interesting for me as his partner. Is like, okay, how can I take this good idea and like how can we make it happen?
like actually
realistically-
facilitate.
Yeah,
Because,
like how can we like framework it? You know,
Yeah.
like okay, like how can we make this like thought into something like real
Reality.
You know, so it makes it interesting.
who wins in a fist fight, Craig or Gordon?
Oh.
I'm going with Craig.
My dog shot the gun.
I'm going for Craig all day, dude.
I'm a dog shot.
Yeah, bro. I'll tell you after. I can't reveal his plan on the dog shot the gun.
Yeah. Never let your enemies know your secret.
Yeah, exactly. I have the schematics for it.
I don't get into the drama, but Craig's my guy, so I'm
Bro,
going for
when
Craig.
is he coming back? We fucking missed the guy. What the hell?
He
bro?
came to America and didn't come to B team.
Insane.
Oh yeah,
Insane.
Trust me, literally. I tried to get him back to like, hey, let's do this clothes stuff, and he was like, nope, not gonna happen. And I'm like, all right, I decided to throw it out there.
So if we're gonna see Craig, it's gonna be outside of America.
No, he'll eventually come through. He'll come back.
All right.
You know, but he's not gonna let you know.
Is he going to adopt Nicky now? Because Nicky's just been gone for months.
He left Nicky, and he left Nicky for dead in
ditched
Bali.
him.
Yeah,
Nicky's in
just loves it
Indonesia.
out there.
Yeah.
This fucking guy, man.
He just missed his flight too.
Nicky?
Yeah.
He's supposed to
catch
go
a
where?
flight here?
Yeah.
Oh, this
Right before we started the pod,
Yeah,
it was like a
he
little text.
missed it, huh?
Yeah. He's like, worst day of my life. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, ha, ha, wink, wink, wink.
Yeah. No, I think he's just gonna be traveling.
yeah.
You know, life on the road is Craig wants to do. You know, go
Fuck,
go go.
honestly, it's like
where he shines.
if you don't have kids, it's like that's the next best thing is
As
like
far
see
as
the
he
fucking
knows.
Of course.
world.
Yeah.
As far as he knows, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like it's difficult once you have kids to really like see everything.
Yeah, and if you have a competitive career that you care about,
Is that- once you stop caring, then it's
you're
great.
free, and that's what it looks like. I'm living
Dude,
vicariously
Hawaii
through
is
Craig's
that's what he's doing. Just Hawaii shit.
nonstop, just fucking around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Awesome.
we should stop.
We should stop. We should
Competing.
quit. I mean, yeah, it seems like we'll be happier, make more money, see more of Earth,
And have the huge
and we just get
Promotion.
Seth to do all the fucking real heavy lift.
Well, remember, yesterday's price is not today's price.
Shit. Yeah, Craig fucking capitalized.
I'm done
All
on my
right, well,
pro bono work.
sick.
I'm so excited for CJI too. I'm excited to even like the beginning when the first announcement is made, and then just follow it along and see it unfold. And like, I know B team's gonna pick up again. All the travelers are gonna come. Joe and the crew, Dima. You know, I'm excited for shit to come back.
sure.
Yeah.
I think we call it there, guys.
Anything else you want to like announce or let people know or keep it all?
Nope. If you want to sponsor us, hit me up.
What if
No
the
honey
can the
dicky.
Simple Man sponsor?
Yeah, 65 million views. Come on.
Can we afford it?
Target rich demographic.
Here's $1 million. Give it to him.
Correction, he won 650K.
You're right. You're right.
Pretty much, yeah.
Toss him something.
Unless I spend it all.
And I won 0.
Exactly.
Joke's on you. All right, guys. Damien.
Ethan Crelinsten.
Nicky Rod.
Seth Belisle. Thanks for having me, guys.
Even simplified.